welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we are on episode 52.
Yeah, 5-2.
Ship tips.
Episode number
Part
52.
2. At the same time.
That's right.
There we go.
That's my thing is I interrupt you now.
It's all good.
When you're trying to intro what the episode is.
Is that the thing now?
That's my thing.
Okay,
yeah.
It's all good. Episode 52, 1 full year of Pure Hustle Podcast.
Yeah, well, and technically our anniversary, I think if you look on like Anchor or iTunes. So it's next week. So next week we got a special episode coming out where we're going to kind of do a recap of our highlights and lowlights and maybe some stories we haven't got a chance to tell you, some behind the scenes stuff about Pure Hustle Podcast and, what we've learned over the year, what our big takeaways have been. And so it would be really great if you would be willing to, give us a call or shoot us a DM on Instagram, send us an email, and just let us know what are some of your highlights of Pure Hustle Podcast for the year, and we can try and include that in our episode.
Yeah, I can't believe, think about it. Some of you have listened since episode 1, right? And episode 1 and 2, I always talk about like those were the awkward ones.
Yeah, there was a growth period where
there was a growth period. We're still awkward though. I don't think we're.
Speak
we're
for yourself, man. I'm like a debonair.
There you go. You have a. It's funny because, I never would have ever thought I'd be on a podcast. That's what's strange, right? We're teachers, right? So we talk in front of people, but it's a little different when you're behind a mic.
I've always said I had a face for radio. So
there you go. I think we both have faces for radio. So I think we're good. We both have beards for radio.
Yeah, I was actually looking at your goatee and I saw a picture the other day of you like on Instagram from earlier, like when you were a little closer shaved. Yeah. It's a different look, man. I like the goatee. It's a good look.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I don't plan on cutting it anytime soon. So
good stuff.
Unless we get sponsored by like some beard grooming.
Well, company. Then they wouldn't want you to
maybe,
cut it.
Maybe they probably want a little trim here and there.
Maybe.
Anyways, all right. Hey, we are on Ship Tips Part 2.
Ship Tips 2.
I always have to pause. I don't know why. Just hard for me to go Ship Tips Part 2.
Yeah, it's the way that works.
It could go various ways if you say it too fast.
Yeah. Ship Tips.
All right, so a few things since that first episode. Thank you, everyone, for all the DMs, for all the comments, for all the responses. I got to tell you, we opened ourselves up, right? Did you feel a little bit of that?
Yeah.
Like we were a little vulnerable going, hey, this is how you should get your supplies. This is what supplies you should use and so on.
Yeah, and part of that is sometimes people hear this is how you should. And I think we try really hard to phrase like, this is a way. This is the way we do it. This isn't the only way and maybe not even the best way.
We could be wrong.
Way that works,
Yeah. And so, hey, if there's anything you like to add. So for instance, we had a lot of DMs. We had some people saying, hey, can we just chat online? We had some people, send us DMs. We had people that wanted us to make videos. And so all awesome ideas. But it was so overwhelming that, I couldn't get to all of them, right? You couldn't get to all of them, right? If we only did the podcast, it'd be doable, but it was just tough. So we strongly urge you, like if there's anything you want to add, anything you want to comment, 2 things. 1, comment below on the YouTube, okay? And if you want, you can even put your Instagram handle. Say, hey, if you want more info, here's my handle. We have no problem with that. We're all about sharing information here.
Yep. Share.
Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Drop in the IG handle.
Yeah, why not?
Or the Twitter handle or the Facebook.
Yeah, we're a community, man. We are a family of resellers. The Pure Hustle Podcast family is what I'm gonna call it. We're just we're all pure hustlers. That's the way I like to think about it. We're out there hustling.
Pure hustle peeps.
If you're out there and you're hustling, you're part of my family.
Okay, there we go. Now, I did get a lot of like, I know better than you though. That's the only one that you ever get that feeling like everybody knows better than you.
I'm totally okay with that most of the time. I mean, there's certain areas.
I'm okay with it too. It's just how people come across.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely tactful ways people can approach subjects that they don't always use.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where people sometimes do know a lot better or have made the mistakes. More. They've made the mistakes that we are potentially on the road to making, and so they want to help us avoid it. And part of it too is when somebody tells you something and you could be wrong. I think naturally just our human nature is to kind of defend ourselves. Like, no, I'm right.
Agreed.
So, but yeah. So what do we got going on this episode?
So few things though, before we get to like the basics or the other practical things. Listen, what do you think is the most difficult part of eBay?
You're asking me.
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Um,
Like out of everything you do, what was the thing that kind of scared
yeah,
you the most?
100% shipping.
Okay, shipping, right? And so understand, we've all been down this road. You know, it's like, for instance, I just got back from my little road trip,
Mhm.
right? And well, my not road trip, my airplane trip. And I had, over 20 packages to pack. Now, had this been, and this was only, over a few days, and it was with me changing handling time, and I wasn't doing much, but things sold. Imagine if that was like your first day, you had like 20 items. Like, how would you feel? And they were all different too.
If I cannot imagine a universe where somebody's first day of selling
Right,
on
okay.
eBay would be
I'm
20
being a little
sales.
okay. I'm throwing a crazy circumstance, but let's say it happened. Let's say for whatever reason you went on a listing rampage
Okay.
for like a day or two.
Actually, I
after
know how
starting
that
eBay
I know how that could happen. So you list 20 items in one day, all on auction
for 99
for way
cents.
too low,
There you go.
and everything sells.
Okay, so how would you feel?
Yeah, I'd be. Well, I think part of the not only would I feel overwhelmed with like how to pack it and dealing with the shipping costs, because I think part of it is even the listing. Like one of the things when it comes to the shipping, you have to consider shipping before you even or as you're listing, right? What are you
Agreed.
going to charge for it? How much? What is the size, dimensions? What's the weight of this going to be? And so I feel like you're going to be going through some of that ahead of time. But when it comes down to actually packaging it, making sure you have the boxes, making sure you have the filler material, making sure you've got all of that in a row, and can you get to the UPS or the USPS store in time? Right. I mean, in fact, you're helping me out right now, dropping off a couple packages because I'm gonna be out of town.
That's true.
So there's a lot of things that come up with that. Yeah, I think I'd be totally overwhelmed if you had 20 sales first day, no experience. Because the beautiful thing about when I started just last year was it was like one sale here and there, and I made little mistakes like, okay, I should have packed this differently, or I undercharged on this. So every sale I learned, I got a little bit better, and so the stakes were much lower.
Agreed. So that's what I want to share. Like I had, all those packages to pack. And even though, I have it pretty streamlined and I knew exactly what I had to do, I still felt overwhelmed. It wasn't like I came into, I'm like, oh, easy, I'll get this done. And actually some issues came up, and I'll talk about that later on because they relate. Like not all shipping is simple. Like sometimes, well, we already covered that, but there's different circumstances that you're like, I don't know how to deal with. Like today, I'll just share right now. I had one issue where somebody had purchased, I think it was from a military base, and they needed custom forms. Well, they put the address wrong on eBay, right? And so then I'm like, sometimes I can work around it by going to pirate ship, but this time I couldn't because I needed custom forms, right? And so I'm kind of stuck. And so on this one, it's weird because eBay tells you can change. Have you ever seen that? Like it gives you there's a little edit link on the address, but you can't really change the address. Right. And so ultimately, I have to contact the buyer and say, hey, unfortunately, I'd love to ship this out to you, but there's a problem with the address. Please let me know that you're good. I mean, either way, it's going to have to be, but if I can cancel the transaction and if you could repurchase it with the correct address, and that's how you handle it. Right. But had you been brand new, you would have figured out different ways.
Yeah.
You may have even gone to the post office and just shipped it out.
Just shipped it. Yep.
And then you would have lost all your seller protections. And what if you got lost? And what if you didn't upload tracking and all that? So anyways, that's what we want to help you with today is we want to get from point A to point B. Some things you might disagree on, right? There's team calculated shipping and there's team flat rate. There's others that are team free shipping. There's team charge everything shipping. There's some that are no returns. There are some that everything returns. And so we're going to be all over the place. And even Mike and I don't think we agree on all of this, do we?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm still trying.
I'm right and you're wrong.
I'm trying to convince Mike, but
I'm just lazy.
No, not lazy. You have concerns.
Well, and I have
valid.
I have my own methods, right? And they work for me and I like them and I don't see reasons to change. And
I think we call that stubborn.
Okay, Mr. Poshmark.
Oh, whoa. We're going back to the last podcast. We don't need to go there. I still have a little bit of time to take care of that. All right. Last thing too, we want to, if you're listening to this podcast and it's like 2021, things may have changed, right? So make sure, our slogan is be real, be relevant, right? Be reselling. So make sure the information is relevant. Yeah. Don't listen to this in 2021 or 22 and go, those guys are totally off.
Yeah. No, but please listen to this in 2022. That'd be cool. Like, go back and just, give us a listen.
Yeah, back when shipping was like $3 cheaper or
God, do you
something like
remember
that.
people will tell stories like, "Do you remember when there used to be a post office?" Because then it's gonna be drones flying everything
Oh,
around.
who knows?
Who knows,
You
right?
know what though? Are you sure? Like I remember when in the '90s, I used to watch a show called Beyond 2000.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like the Jetsons.
No. This is no Jetsons was way off, but Beyond 2000, they're like, and we'll have flying cars, right? And it was with this like British accent, which automatically gives it authority. Am I off on that?
No, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like a sense of authority. All you UK listeners, you have authority. Just letting you know.
well, there's different British accents though. They
That
don't
is
all
true.
have that same like academic like sound to it.
No, I get okay, but this one did.
Yeah.
And they're talking about flying cars and how they're going to be here in the year 2000, and you're anticipating. I kind of feel like we're in that right now.
I think there's certain areas where it's like, okay, we're still a long ways off of, right? Like, okay, we're probably still a long ways off of like actual AI and a lot of things like that. But I mean, things are moving so fast. I mean, we talked about it with Amazon, right? The way Amazon is taking over and changing not just shipping, but changing the way people do commerce, right? So
Agreed.
things are changing quickly, and nobody really knows what that's going to look like. Even social media is changing things. These platforms, eBay's has been changing and advancing, and you got all these. So things are going to change. Who knows how much? But yeah, I can almost guarantee you the specific practical information we're giving out today is not going to be relevant for super long, right? Which is why we got to stay relevant and keep producing.
Agreed. So maybe we'll have Ship Tips Part 2, Part 4,
Ship Tips 2020.
2020, something like that. So, all right. So let's get to the first thing here. What should be free? Do you ship anything for free, Mike?
This is a semantic issue because nothing ships for free.
Okay,
Somebody's
all right,
paying.
okay, that's a great point. All right. So what should you ship that gives the appearance of it being free?
I'm still toying around and trying a lot of things like that. I've moved a lot of things that I used to do for free over to charging shipping instead of free.
All right, so give me an example.
Okay, so shoes. That's an example. Now,
Okay.
I don't do the flat rate the way you do. I tend to do calculated shipping for those.
Okay.
But I used to offer free shipping and just add the shipping, whatever I assumed the shipping was going to cost, into the price of the item, right? So I
Correct.
kind of like, okay, the average is going to cost me like $8 to ship this. So I'm going to charge what I want to make plus $8 and put free shipping, hoping that free shipping, because all I'm doing is shifting that dollar amount from the shipping category into the price of the item,
Mhm.
right?
Agreed.
And putting free shipping in order to get that tag on YouTube, or not YouTube,
eBay.
that tag on eBay.
We sell off of YouTube too.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be nice.
We should try and figure out a way to do that.
I'm sure there's ways.
But so I'm just shifting that price over into a different category. But what I've noticed is, and we used to use that as like leverage. So when somebody would message us and say like, hey, and they'd give us an offer, and we'd come back and we'd go up a little bit, and we say like, we can't go that low, it's free shipping. What we noticed specifically with those types of items like shoes and things like that, that tag of free shipping wasn't enough for them when they were getting offers of like, well, it's free shipping, but why can't you go, whereas now when we charge that $8 for shipping, somebody gives us an offer, we have feels like a little bit more wiggle room on the price because that shipping is set, right? So we can, I don't know. So we've noticed that we've gotten more sales, or at least been more willing to barter with people by not having free shipping. But part of me, like deep down, still thinks that having that free shipping tag, it's got to be a draw and a hook for people, right?
Well, I think it's pretty clear, and I know this episode is going to be very eBay based, right? But it's because on Amazon it's a given, free shipping is it's Prime, right? So if you're not doing FBA, or if you don't have merchant fulfilled Prime, you're not going to have as many sales. Bottom line. Now, some may disagree. Maybe there's some Amazon sellers out there that sell a ton and they charge shipping. I don't know of many. So, but then again, I don't know a lot of people either, right? But on eBay, eBay's been very clear. And they actually just had I felt a bit terrible because they actually just wrote a vlog all about why we should do free shipping. I don't know if you saw it on our Instagram.
On the Instagram, yeah.
But man, the comments that came through were like very, very opposed to free shipping.
Right.
right? It kind of blew me away a little bit. I was a little shocked.
Well, and part of it is this. So, okay, if you're shipping USPS flat rate, okay, but there's a lot of items you ship that don't fit in one of those boxes. Now, the reason calculated shipping works as opposed to free shipping is we've shipped stuff because a lot of times especially for bigger items, just have it automatically set for UPS, right? So instead of going even through the post office.
Yeah, and I'll talk to you about that too a little bit.
All right,
Okay.
do it.
Remind me.
So we do that. But one of the things that's tough is there are times where we get an item and we ship it and it's a big heavy item and it ships for like $10 or $15 and we're like, wow, that was awesome. And there's other times where we got like a really light item and it's going to the boondocks somewhere and they charge us $40 for an item that only costs 20, right, to ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't do the calculated shipping, if you do free shipping, you have no idea where that's going.
Okay,
right?
So my rule of thumb, since we're talking about this, is I will do all first class free, right? That's where I'm willing to lose. I think it's easier for me to put the price of shipping into the item when it's free shipping, right? Now, the change in first class shipping was crazy, right? It went to, I can't remember. I think the highest you'd pay is maybe the top tier of $3, maybe into the $4, where now you can do some first class. It's like $5. That's huge, right? So there's two things you got to think about. You got to think about what you're sourcing. So if you are trying to sell $10 items and offering free first class shipping, you're at a loss. Like, take out the 13% in fees, right, from eBay and PayPal. All right, so then you're down some money already, right? You're down, let's say $10, you're down $1.30, right? Mm. And then you get the $5 right shipping, so now it's $6.30. Then the cost of that goods, let's say you paid $1, you're down $7.30, so you're only making $2.70. Like, that is terrible. So you got to think about that, right? I think what you source and your margins matter a lot. So I would say if you're selling lower end items, I don't think you should sell lower end items. That's just our perspective, right? Are you kind of there on like, hey, average sale price should be at a certain place?
Yeah, I think there's numbers. And I think as we've talked a lot about building a pipeline.
Yeah.
I think when you're starting off, you're okay with making the $5 to $10 sales and trying to get that velocity, trying to get the quick nickel going. But as you go and you're building that pipeline, each item or the items that you're buying need to progressively be getting higher quality, right?
Agreed.
More ROI coming in. You're going to be willing to pay up for items that are going to give you higher return on investments because you've got that pipeline. You've got constant sales coming through to kind of keep that going. So when you're first starting out, I could see doing that because, hey, if you're only selling 5-6 items a week, making $5 to $10 an item, it's not going to help you stay home or it's not going to help you buy a Tesla.
As long as you're a 1 or 2 person operation, right?
Right.
If you're a huge operation, right, and you're importing from China minus the tariffs or, from Alibaba and you're selling stuff for cheap and you're selling thousands at a time, right. Then, I know some people that do that model and it works for them. But I'm talking about if it's just like the way Mike and I do it, like, it's really hard to build that pipeline with lower end items.
So I think for you, like, imagine going back to your first few weeks of selling, you probably would have been okay going out into your workspace and shipping an item where you made $10.
Agreed.
But
I
to do that
sometimes,
but if you were to do that now on like a majority of your items were only making you $5 or $10, you might be like, this isn't worth my time coming out here and packing brutal. And taking the pictures. But when you're first starting out, it's you're level 1, right? You got to build up, you got to get the experience, you got to build that pipeline.
But that's what we're saying about shipping, right? So if you're going to do free shipping, there has to be enough money to be made, right? So we can't separate the two. We can't just say, hey, source lower end items and offer free shipping. Like, it's not going to work. You're going to have to source items that are going to make you a little more money if you're going to offer that free shipping. Now, I have changed on my free shipping. I do charge on some first class items, right? So anything that's going to cost me more than $4 for first class, I will charge now. Just because I've seen it eat too much. So, for instance, hats, right? I'll buy a hat for 10 cents. I might flip it for 15 or 20. But man, if I offer full free shipping, I'm going to lose a lot. Yeah. Right? I'd rather charge the $4. Now, I don't do it on hats because they're super light. I'll do it like on, let's say, belt buckles, right? Some other things that I might do it on is, maybe sometimes there's like heavier clothing items. So today I sold a Harley shirt that had metal buttons. And that shirt weighed right at 16 ounces. Right. So I ended up having to ship that padded priority. which cost me, $2 more. I wish I had built a $4 shipping into it. So we're not saying, that free shipping is the only way, and we're not saying it's, you're not going to do well if you do charge shipping. We're saying is that, hey, eBay strongly encourages it, and I see their point, and I totally agree that it will get you higher in the algorithm. But if it's going to, cut into your business and you're not seeing a slowdown in sales if you charge shipping, then charge shipping.
Yeah, I think the area where as a reseller you'd be better off with the free shipping or be able to follow the eBay model like more like gung ho would be if eBay was able to provide a greater discount for their people selling. So like
I agree, especially with the rates that went up last year.
right. So like Poshmark, for instance, and I know we talk about them all the time, but for however they were able to get that deal with the post office where anything under £5 ships for whatever it's $6, that's incredible, right? If
I think
eBay,
they're losing money.
you think so?
I think they're trying to build. I think they're
maybe.
trying to build, and hence they're willing to take those deficits to get bigger.
It's possible, but
That's just a hypothesis. I have no evidence to prove any of that.
it's definitely possible. But I mean, for instance, I've got a friend who works at a company and they ship a lot of stuff, and the prices that they're able to ship items for because they're a big corporation and they like literally UPS, FedEx, a couple of other like smaller third party companies bid for that company, right? Like we want to be the sole person shipping for your company. And so there's like a war going on where like UPS is like, we'll offer it to you for this price. And then FedEx comes back and like, we'll ship yours for this price. So because it's such a big client, those companies, and that's why Amazon is able to ship so much for so cheap is because if you're whatever company that's got the contract with Amazon, if you lose Amazon, you're losing 50% of your business, right?
Mhm.
So you're willing to cut them a huge deal. So if eBay could find a way to like make a contract and say like, look, we already ship through USPS, we offer a little bit of a discount there, but let's say we go through FedEx and we're going to say every item that goes through eBay, if you use FedEx or whatever the company is, you get basically 50% off.
Yeah, and they do offer a discount. I mean, that's one thing, you guys. If you're brand new, print your label off of eBay and understand when you're a top-rated seller, you get far more discounts on shipping. So it does matter to have that TRS.
Yeah, it'd be nice though if you could get it more, right? Like I think that's
what we're saying.
So
But-
if
but I
eBay
just
just
wanna
say
take
like,
small
please
steps.
give us free shipping, like the best way would be like, hey, let's make it so that it's easier for the average seller, the person who's starting out to offer free shipping. Like, how do we get that
agreed.
discount there?
Agreed. The only reason I said all that is I want to make sure people understand. Like a lot of people go, "Oh, top-rated seller doesn't matter." The discounts matter.
Yeah.
And in the long term, have you noticed that since you were top-rated?
Yep.
Right, you get a greater percentage,
Mhm.
and it really helps when you get into like the FedEx range or the heavier items. So that's our thoughts on free shipping. Okay, so another reason you should offer free shipping, I don't know if you've experienced, is if you have an item, right, and all the sold have free shipping and all the listed have pretty much free shipping, you kind of don't have that choice.
Yep.
Right, because you're not going to end up selling your item. There's going to be way too much competition, and it's going to hurt. Like, I've seen some items that, they're like $100 free shipping. And I'm like, ooh, like, usually if an item's $100 outside of clothing or shoes, it's probably a heavy item.
Right.
Right. So that's the other reason we would say, hey, free shipping is probably in your best interest to keep yourself competitive.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why you can't sell certain items. Like I go to the store all the time, especially when I'm trying to do like retail arbitrage, and I find items that it's like, wow, this is a really good price for this item. But then I go onto eBay and it's selling for, a quite a bit more than that price, but with free shipping, it's like, there's no way. Like I would break even on this. If I were to buy 100 of these items and sell them all, I'd break even on every single one of them because the ones that are selling are offering free shipping. So that's another reason too. So like you have to be able to, if you can't compete with the shipping, you might not even be able to source that item.
Agreed.
Right? So you've got to look at your competition. If they're offering free shipping, either you have to offer it or you've got to get out of that market.
And there's one more thing. We talked about this in Q4 now that you brought that up. Remember we had talked about how certain sellers will sell certain items cheaper than everybody else and offer free shipping to eventually be like the top person on the search. So that's another. So for an example, right now, I have a couple items that I did pick them up for cheap. I picked them up for 67 cents a piece. I'm only selling them for about, I think, like $10 a piece, but I'm offering free shipping. My goal is that I sell so many of those that I am the person selling that item. Right? See, I do sell cheap items.
And it puts you up at the top. Yeah, if you can buy 100 or sell 100 dingle hoppers, right? And you sell the first 20 of them where you're breaking even, and then the rest of them, then you start raising your price. Then when people look, you're the one that's like already sold 23, only 47 left, or whatever it is, right? And so people are more willing to buy from you because they're going to assume. Because I do that when I'm buying an item, even if there's a seller who's cheaper, I'll often buy, unless it's a big difference from the person. It's like, well, this person, it's got good reviews. They've sold a ton of these items. They're trustworthy, right? There's something in your mind that thinks like trustworthy.
No, I agree. Because if they've sold already, whatever, 100 or something, and then if you check their feedback and their feedback is legit, you're like, I'd rather buy from this person.
Where if it's just somebody with just one of them, you never know.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. All right. So we kind of talked about when you should charge. So for me, anything above first class, I charge. Like it's hard. Like you talking about doing, did you do free priority?
Yep. I did some free priority.
Was that tough?
It was, but see, I would just, in my mind, like, okay, so if an item was selling for $20 and then the shipping was going to be 10, I would just do $30 with free shipping in my mind. If that's what all of them are selling for, it's just, I don't know, it's like a mind game at that point. So I would still offer free shipping, but the customer just looks at mine and the competition and they both cost $30. Mine just has free shipping. The other person is $20 with $10 shipping, right? It evens out. So I did it, but it was a higher price tag. It looked like a higher price tag. It just was free shipping.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the way I do it. Whether it be, shoes, whether it be, backpacks, whether it be, some hard goods that I figured out I can fit into a flat rate, whatever it is, I will always charge shipping. Just because it's really, especially since we do all good till canceled with best offer, it's a lot easier when you're bartering back and forth. Right? Because then you get that message sometimes like, I'll do this with free shipping. Right? And make sure you understand, if you are charging shipping and somebody offers you something, they're asking for free shipping, you don't have to agree to that. Or even, let's say they offer it to you and they wrote it and you missed and you hit accept. There's nothing wrong in letting the person know that you charge shipping. And if they want to cancel, they can cancel because they agreed to the terms of shipping. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, when they make the offer, the note doesn't. And I just had one of those recently, which is kind of interesting. I sold some blank VCR tapes, and the person, we missed it. They said, we'll do it for this price with free shipping. And we didn't see that note. And so we hit accept. And then they responded back so rude. Take the shipping off immediately. And they like basically cussed us off. And it was like, sorry, we'll go ahead and cancel. We misread the note. We'll go ahead and refund you. Right. Like,
yeah,
it was interesting. But yeah, so just offer the refund if you don't want to agree to their new terms.
Yeah. And you're good. Here's the thing. So understand, when it's free shipping, as long as you ship on time, right, you should be good. Like any negative review that's given to you about, the shipping time or that the shipping, my experience has been usually, and if you disagree and you see something else happening, you please let us know in the comments. eBay will side with you, right? Because you offered the free shipping, you followed the guidelines, right? Even if they, I've had some people, I've had actually some people DM us, and I've experienced this where people complained that the shipping took too long, even though it was within the time frame and it was free, right? So eBay will back you. Now, if you charge shipping, let's say you charge some kind of flat rate, and they say shipping was too expensive, you're still good because you put it out there. So let me give a little hack though. You're not team flat rate, you're team calculated shipping, aren't you? Like most of your stuff is calculated.
No,
you do a lot of flat rate.
Here, you really want to know how I do my shipping?
I know how you do your shipping.
Well, no, but here's how I do my pricing on my shipping.
Okay.
I do averages of what I think items are going to cost to ship.
Okay.
But I make it look like it's calculated shipping. So if I think if I could typically ship shoes for $7, I'll do like $8.49 for my shipping, or $8.43.
Okay.
So it looks like they're getting calculated shipping.
Throwing that random last number.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't look like. So I do that, and then so sometimes I'm
sneaky there.
Sometimes I make a little, sometimes I lose a little on shipping, but it averages out. And I do that because, then it just looks to the buyers if it's calculated shipping, and then I feel like it looks a little better than like just $7.99 because then that looks like that's my price as opposed
Okay,
to
I get it.
I'm only charging you what they're charging you, right?
Okay, interesting. Okay, no, that is very interesting. Okay, but
Mind games.
but here's my hack. So back in the day, I used to put everything. So we haven't talked about this. Where do you set up your shipping? Do you do it under business policies?
No,
Okay, you should.
I've heard people say that. Seems like a lot of work.
No. I'm gonna explain it right now. We don't even need a screen share to do this.
Okay,
Okay, this is how simple it is. All right. So am I talking into the cone here, Mike?
there you go.
Mike gave me a little speech before to stay close to the mic when I'm speaking. So I'm hoping this works right now.
Especially when you're on your computer, because otherwise it's like.
All right. So
You come back.
So this is the way you do it. Okay, you go to eBay. Okay, you go to you already logged in. You're into your account. You did your 2-step verification, right? Because you want to keep your account safe. Then you click on My eBay. Then after you click on My eBay, it's gonna say My eBay summary, and it's gonna have like your feedback, and under it, it's gonna have activity, messages, account. Then you're gonna click on account. Okay, so first screen is the initial screen after you log in. On the top right, it'll say My eBay. You'll click on My eBay. Then you'll go to the next screen, and then it's going to have your 3 options: activity, messages, account. You're going to click on account. Then on the left, you are going to click on business policies. Okay, then there's going to be all these policies that show up. It's going to have a policy about payment, about return, about shipping. Then you click on shipping. You don't have to click on shipping, but you can. And then it'll show you all the different policies. So the reason I share this with you is twofold. One, it makes it a lot easier when you're making a listing. When you're putting stuff down, you just choose which one you want, right? So for instance, if it's calculated for me, I do a lot of FedEx for the big items. I call it FedEx ground, and I just pick FedEx ground, and I just put my measurements, and I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. Or if it's a free, first class free, I just go to first class free. I choose that one. I don't even have to put dimensions, really. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I have, like, for shirts, I have dimensions 24 by 18 by 18, 10 pounds. It doesn't matter because it's first class free. Okay. The second reason I do that is when you are traveling, like you're traveling, right, Mike? So all you have to do is you go to edit on your business policy after you create the policy. So you have to create the policy. And then there'll be a little thing that says handling time. And you just change the handling time, and that's it. Right. So I have about 10 shipping business policies. And so anytime I travel, depending on how long I travel, I change the handling time. It's a lot easier because if you don't do it this way, you may have I don't know what you have, Mike, but you may have a huge mess of like 50 different shipping options. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I did find a way for changing the handling time just in bulk on all your items. You just like click all of your items, change your handling time.
You know what? It's interesting. I used to be able to do that. And then once the policy showed up, I couldn't do it anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Let us know in the comments below. I'm interested because for me I used to be able to do it bulk editing, and I actually called eBay about it, and they're like, "Huh, you can't do that anymore?" And I'm like, "No." So what I had to do is I ended up I spent probably, and I shared this a few podcasts ago, I spent probably 5 hours cleaning everything up, and I got it down to 10 policies. So go to your business policy, set it up. So for instance,
now this is me being totally real here.
Okay.
Giving some down and dirty on how
Wow.
I on
Kind of
how
scared
I
of what you're
on
gonna ask
how
me
I
here.
on how I ship. So do you, when you got, let's say, a big item, do you figure out exactly what the dimensions of the box are going to be before you list it? Like, how do you know?
If it's a bigger item, yeah.
And you pack it up and
I don't pack it up.
I mean, because I have just like a whole bunch of boxes, and I just like when a big item sells, I just look for a box that fits, and sometimes so I don't know the dimensions until.
So I have certain things. So for instance, I know for clothing, it's gonna go first class 12, 10, 4, and it's first class free, right? If it's a pair of, let's say, Nike shoes in a box, it's gonna go in a 16 by 12 by 8 eBay box, and it's probably gonna weigh like 3 pounds, right? But I charge, and I'll share this in a little bit, but I charge priority. And let's say it's a Department 56 item, right? Like, we're still staring at your haul here, by the way. Are you gonna list those eventually?
Yep.
Okay. When you get back?
Yeah.
I'll just give you a hard time. So awesome. Did you get listing on the other ones?
Nope.
Have you counted how many pieces you hauled?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
It's gonna be a surprise how many pieces I have when I do the listings. I'm gonna come in one day and just list
So
them
if
all.
you have no idea what we're
Boom.
talking about, last episode, Hustle of the Week, Mike had a huge Apartment 56 haul. So anyways, I'm staring at them. So I would look at those boxes, right? And I would make sure I weigh the boxes. Because I've done it with Department 56 where I either didn't weigh it or I put the wrong dimensions and it cost me money. Like if it's something that's not your everyday, like a shoebox or like a pair of shoes or a shirt or a belt buckle or a tie, like ties for me are always 6 ounces, right? Hats are generally, for me, 8 to 14 ounces, right? But if it's something like Department 56, yes, I'm not saying pack
What
it up.
what about dimensions? Like you won't know the dimensions of a lot of those boxes.
Yeah, I usually would give it like 2 or 3 inches extra on top of that.
Okay.
Right. And if it's a heavier item, let's say it's more than 10 pounds, and I've heard other resellers do say this, I usually charge handling like $1 a pound. Or I'll charge a flat fee, just a flat fee, $1. Excuse me, I'll charge a flat fee, $1 a pound. So let's say something's like 30 pounds. Like you can charge just a flat fee. So I'll just charge $30. And that's it.
For the shipping?
Yeah, if it's 30 pounds, I'll just charge $30. If it's 50 pounds, I'll just charge $50. And most of the time you end up doing okay.
Yeah.
Right? And people they don't like surprises, right? So if they know already this is exactly what's gonna be, because the worst is sometimes you'll get a buyer and they're all about it, and then they put in the numbers and it's like some astronomical number. And then they message me and go, Orlando, it showed me this number. They don't say Orlando, by the way. They don't know my name. But some people have alter egos on eBay. Like they don't use their they don't use their real names.
Really?
I thought that was interesting.
Hey man,
let us know if that's you.
It's the internet. You can be whoever you want to be.
Have your own eBay avatar.
That's right.
So
it's like The Sims. I have another life in the eBay.
In the eBay.
In the eBay.
So that's the way some people do it. I've done that before too, where I've had an item that was like 100 pounds. I just charge $100 flat fee, just because, and it ended up costing me like $90. It's just safe.
Nice.
So okay, this is what I did. Going back to my hack. So I used to say, this will be sent in a medium flat rate box. This would be sent in a large flat rate box, and I would just put the exact number of what that would cost. Right. So right now, I think medium flat rate is like $12.33. I don't do that anymore. In my shipping policies, I put it as just priority, and I'll charge $12.49 or whatever that is. The reason being is sometimes you may get an item, let's say shoes. If a pair of shoes sells in California, I can ship it in a 12 by 6 by 6 box and make money on the shipping. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then the person doesn't write me up and go, hey, you were supposed to send this in a medium flat rate box and I got it in this box. Like, I want a refund. Does that make sense?
Have you ever had that?
I have had people go, this was way back. Like, hey, shipping's in California, so are you going to refund me some money on the shipping?
Really?
Yes. And
because there's been times where I've set like the post office or USPS as like the thing, and then I realized it'd be cheaper for me to ship through somebody else, and I just ship through somebody else as long as it gets to them the same amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, is that all right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Do you feel this is an ROI question? Is your ROI, is the money more important? Is you making somebody's day more important?
Well, have you ever got a box and been like, this came through the FedEx and it was supposed to come through UPS?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, great question. I'm gonna give a hack, but I'm not telling people to do it. I'm just sharing. It's like me and you are alone at Starbucks, just having a conversation at a table, so nobody's listening.
All right.
Okay. So sometimes I'll get those items. Like, let's say I've had Department 56 before, and it was within California, or let's say it was like to Texas from California. So priority was going to cost me, I miscalculated. Priority was going to cost me like let's say $50. But if I did FedEx home delivery, it was going to cost me $30. FedEx home delivery is 40 shipping. Priority is 3-day shipping. Now, most people, as my experience, don't really care about that extra day. They really don't. And usually eBay's kind of like when this will arrive is usually like a day more, right?
Right.
So I'll do that sometimes. So no one's hearing us right now, but I'll do that.
Yeah.
Are you tracking with me?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. But I haven't heard a peep.
Yeah, I haven't had that's what I was saying, like, I've never had anybody complain that it's come in the wrong box, like, this was now I have had where I've marked
So
something.
we're not recommending you do that. This is just conversation between Mike and I.
Yeah. Now, I have had where what is it? Okay, so if it goes to a PO box, it has to go USPS, right?
I think so.
So
Yeah.
I've marked things USPS real like mistakenly. I should have marked it as UPS because or FedEx is a bigger item.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the sale goes through and I realize it's going to a PO box, I have to switch over to or I have to keep it USPS. I can't use.
Yeah.
That's where it's like,
Well,
oh,
usually it's a win if you go from FedEx to priority because it'll get there faster. So most people won't care.
but it just cost me.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is, between just you and me and the microphones here, is that I've saved a lot of money, and I've had those moments where I'm like, "Ooh," and you know what? I'd rather get dinged on a late shipment than lose out on $20 or $30.
Well, and another option to kind of like to
Not
offset
saying
that.
we're not telling anyone to do
No,
this.
don't do that. But a way to offset that, if I were to do that, would be
Hypothetically speaking.
hypothetically. Now, if you get the fast and free if you've got 1 day handling and you're free shipping. But if you're not free shipping and you set it to 2 day handling and you do it in 1 day, right? It ends up being the same.
Correct.
So instead of it getting there in 3 days with 2 days handling time, it gets there in 4 days with 1 day handling time. It gets to the house at the same time.
Correct.
So it's fine.
But it's your TRS, your top rated seller, that you want to make sure you keep the 1 day handling.
Oh, does that impact that?
Yeah, it does. It
Okay.
does. So you have to have at least 1 day handling to be a top rated
On
seller.
every item?
On pretty much most of them, or to have that top rated plus like sign on there. Does that make sense? So anyways, I'm glad, but that's a hack. I mean, so the 2 hacks were: 1, priority, don't list exactly how you're going to ship it, because it may be you charge $11.99 priority shipping. You may be able to ship it. Like today, I had 3 items I was able to ship out for $8, and I didn't have to put them in a flat rate box. I saved $3 on each of them. That was $9, right? But if I put medium flat rate and the person, whatever, you may get that buyer that will go like, "Hey, where's my other $3?" Right? The other way is, like we discussed without recommending to anyone, is like, hey, if you can do that 4 day and save yourself $20 for that extra day, it might be worth it to you, just Mike, to do it.
Gotcha.
So, so here's the thing though, too, is you got to make sure that when you're listing things, when you're charging too, is that you got to look at what everybody else is doing, especially during Q4, right? Because if everybody's doing expedited and you're like, hey, I'm going to do ground shipping, you're going to lose. I'm telling you, I had a few overnight sales, and the only reason I beat out other people is because I had overnight options. That make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so you want to share any other things that you've done?
No, I don't, but I do want to say this. So I don't think anything there is bad, but I do think that just shipping in general, and I know there's other resellers out there who are like me. The packing, and you talked a little bit about like coming home to 20 items,
Yeah.
on how that can feel. I tell you, there's days when
Well, it was because it was all kinds of random items. It
Yeah.
wasn't like one item. That's what
yeah,
was
super
bugging me.
easy stuff. Like
I have a
surf-
Furby still I have to pack.
Nice. Not any fingerlings to buy.
No fingerlings. They're still listed. One day
One day they'll sell. They're gonna be vintage in like 20 years, and then you can. Oh, you remember those?
they're gonna
toys?
be like page 1,000,001 on the eBay search.
Yes. But anyways, there's days where I'm like, I hope nothing sells today. I hope nothing sells today, because I just don't want to deal with the shipping, right? Like I don't want to deal. Like I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go home after a long day's work and deal with pulling an item out of wherever it's hidden and packing it and printing the label and the whole process. There's definitely times where I don't want to do that. Even taking pictures and listing items can feel like that for me at times. But my quote of the week this week is a really simple one. Yeah, this one is super simple, but I think it's good, and it applies to every aspect of life. And this is probably one of the most obvious statements a person could ever make, but it is probably also one of the most profound. If you want to have a better life, if you want to have be a better person, if you want to have the success, fill in the blank, right? It's simple. You have to do 2 things. Stop doing the things that you know you shouldn't do and start doing the things you know you should do.
All right.
Right? Like I heard somebody say, and it's like so like but think about your own life. Like how many times when you come home, like, okay, I should list 5 more items, but instead you, I don't know, do the things that you probably shouldn't do that don't make you a better person, that in the long run you're not happier about yourself. And it's like we all know what those things are. Like we all could like easily say like, if I were to be my best self today, I would do these things and I wouldn't do these things, right? I would stop these bad habits and I would do these good habits. And so the most basic advice, but also really profound, is stop doing those things you shouldn't do and start doing the things like probably get better at shipping and
But you know what?
actually do the
There's
shipping.
such truth to that because it's like anything. It's same concept we talked about several podcasts ago. Eat that frog,
Mm-hmm.
right? I find myself I'm very much like I hate saying this. I'm not as disciplined as Mike, right? So I'm kind of like whatever, let's go with the flow, and I'm willing to like drop whatever to go have fun. Not saying it's the best way to do things, but what ends up happening, man, I feel like we're in a self-help podcast right now.
Hey man, this is part of hustling.
But what ends up happening is I get in these modes where I'm not like depressed, but I'm like, whatever, like, and I never get anything done. But I tell you, that moment, I take care of a few action steps, right? So I'll give you an example. This past week, I had to do the stupid, I'm just gonna say stupid pesticide training with Amazon. And it's because I had some shirts that had like odor free, whatever, like some hunting stuff. And I felt literally like I was at a job again. I spent 2 hours watching these stupid videos. Wow, I'm so negative. Watching these videos I really didn't like and having to answer these questions. I had to pay attention because you had to have a certain passing rate. And it was really bothering me. But you know what? When I finished it, I was like, I feel better. Right? I got it out of the way. Yeah, it was 3 a.m, but I got it out of the way, right? I had to send out a few emails. I had to do some listings, but you're right. Like it definitely, I don't know if it was an endorphin rush, but it definitely got me motivated to do more.
But it's so easy to spend time doing the things that we know only like temporarily make you happier, right? Like you're pretty good at like watching Netflix and listing, right? Like
Yeah, true.
me, not so much. Like I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, man, I veg out and I'm just like a zombie I'll binge watch a show. And then I realize, and it's okay occasionally to do that, but it's not just like one day. It's like then the next day, and then my diet gets really bad because it's like, well, I'm just laying on the couch and I'm eating and I'm watching TV because I'm bored. And then the next day, it's like, well, now I haven't gone to the gym in 2 days. Now I'm just watching TV. Like it's so easy to just build negative habits and do the things like you go to sleep and you're like, man, I shouldn't have done any of that stuff. And the next day you do it again. But
Yep.
if you just stop those things, just like what those things are, and then what's the list? Like write down like what are the things I should do today to be the best reseller I could be, to be the best parent I could be, to be the best spouse I could be, whatever it is, right? And just do those things. And it doesn't give you the same typically immediate gratification, but like you said, when you're done, you're like, I feel better about myself.
And I could do more.
Yeah.
I could do more. So, hey, before we move on, we drop tips all the time about shipping, how to save money, and so on Instagram.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a chance, follow us on Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram. That's our handle, Pure Hustle Podcast. On Twitter, we are Pure Hustle Cast. On Facebook, we are Pure Hustle Podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, hey, jump on over real quick to the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, because every once in a while we drop some videos. We have some projects we'll be working on in the future. And if you haven't had a chance, we would love for you to write a review on our podcast, because every once in a while we get those reviews, and then we get those awesome reviews. And the more reviews there are, the more positive ones there are, the more we can share what we do. We will never charge you for a course. We will never try to, upsell you on anything. We may be selling some shirts once we get to 10K on IG.
Yeah.
But, that's just not our thing. So, not saying there's anything wrong with that. There are some great courses out there to purchase, but it's just not what we do. And also, if you ever want to get a hold of us, we are piercepodcast@gmail.com, and you can give us a call, 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. And last of all, hey, if you ever want to say thank you in a monetary way, by the way, we've had some donations the last few weeks, and we are so thankful. So thank you to you guys that have just helped us out. In the end, our goal is to be able to do more and produce more content and share more. And we have some big things coming in the near future. So if you ever want to say thank you in a monetary way, our PayPal link is below, and we'd be extremely grateful. And thank you again to those of you that have helped us out so far.
Yeah, good stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, Orlando, It's nice that you do that kind of like mid roll, like, hey, give us a listen, check out our Instagram quickly, so it doesn't last forever. But man, you're almost like an auctioneer. Like you can really
Well,
just get it out there.
I
Ba,
just
ba,
want to
ba, ba,
fly
ba.
through it though, because I want to get to the content.
It's like the small print, where it's like
That's right.
I was
And then the commercials.
3.7% interest.
Void were prohibited.
Yep.
There we go.
That's it.
So, all right.
Nailed it.
So let's talk about let's talk about avoiding problems. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk, actually, this is kind of the same thing. Let's talk about these two things that just came up. Have you heard of the latest two things? We talked about them last podcast.
Two things.
One of them we talked about. Remember
the change in the
dimensional
weight.
weights?
Yep, dimensional weight.
So Pirate Ship came out with an official.
Oh, they've got a response, huh?
So let me share it to you. Let me share it to you. So in case you're wondering what we're talking about, on June 23rd, okay, what's happening is that all items, okay, that are non-flat rate priority, okay, they are now going to be charged dimensional weight, meaning that, for instance, FedEx, UPS, and USPS all have like a number that you do math with. And if you want to know more, you can go to the eBay Community Forum Seller News, or you can check our last podcast.
Yeah, listen to like the most complicated. Like I think you solved like the theory of relativity with that math equation there.
I just didn't want to go too much into it, but I just if you want to know exactly what we're talking about, just go back to our last podcast.
It's basically quantum physics.
There you go. Okay, now Bjorn from Pirate Ship got back to me, and they said,
"Did it start with arg?"
No, actually, at the end they go, "Happy shipping, happy shipping, matey, arg, Captain Bjorn, Pirate Ship."
That's fantastic.
All right, so,
genius.
If you haven't read this, let me just share this real quick. So what we're talking about is that there's going to be a change. So if you use bigger packages that weigh less and take up more space, you're going to be charged more, because now all these companies, including the post office, are looking at the dimensions and how much it takes up in a truck or whatever they're going. Okay. So what they said, okay, I noticed they're talking to me directly. I felt so special. I noticed you sometimes ship packages that are larger than 1 cubic foot. So I wanted to make sure USPS is changing how they calculate dimensional weight on June 23rd. All right, so they share all the information that we shared before. They basically said, in general, this means it's more important than ever to use as small of a package as possible so you don't end up paying for empty space, okay? They said, keep in mind that if you can make your box or envelope smaller than half a cubic foot, you get huge discounts of priority mail cubic shipping, which Pirate Ship automatically offers whenever it's cheapest.
All right, box cutters, resizers, right?
Yeah. So, but you get what they're saying. Like they're saying you want to keep these deals, the total has to be half a cubic foot. Now you're wondering, like, how do I figure that out, right? Like, I'm not a math whiz, right? But it's really easy. If you just go to Google and you Google Pirate Ship, okay, you already know how to get to pirateship.com, and you put cubic calculator. Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to show an easy way. And then you click on the first link, it'll take you scroll a little bit down, it'll take you to a calculator. And then you put the dimensions of the box, and it'll tell you if it fits. So, for instance, one of my famous boxes that eBay sells on their shipping supplies that I like is the 10 by 8 by 6. So if I do the 10 by 8 by 6 box, I enter those dimensions into the Priority Mail cubic calculator that Pirate Ship provides. By the way, we're not sponsored by Pirate Ship, at least not yet. So we tried one time, didn't we?
Yeah, we sent him an email.
Okay. Right. So this one, the cubic volume for this was 0.278. So less than half a cubic foot. So our package qualified for cubic tier 3. Right? So our package could be larger and stay in the same pricing tier. So is this making sense to you?
Yeah. So, but weight then becomes a thing too, though, right?
Weight, but only if it's like super heavy.
Okay.
Right? We're talking about lighter packages. You got to make sure they stay in smaller boxes. That's the big thing. Right? Because back in the day, for instance, I would sell like a plush and I would put it like in some massive box. Right? So I didn't have to do all this like scrunching because I could ship it for pretty cheap. Right? Now, I'm going to have to do the scrunch or shove it into a pad like I used to back in the day. Like, it's going to change the way you ship.
Yeah, I almost feel like UPS, FedEx, post office should all go to uniform size boxes for everything and then just charge for box and not by weight because it seems like everything would fit in their truck better than like random size boxes that don't like, you know?
True, but there's some. I'm looking at like some of your Department 56 stuff, and I'm like, that'd be pretty tough. You'd have to have a bunch of uniform boxes.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
But let there be empty space, you know? Like
but
just have
that's
big
what.
ones.
But that's what they're trying to avoid is the
I
empty
know.
space. So, all right. So, with that being said,
The
hey,
drones will fix that.
the drones. So, just be aware of that. Okay. So, that's a one way to avoid problems. I know a lot of people are concerned, okay, about that, but I gave you what Pirate Ship said. That's one way. Make sure that either your stuff, if it's too heavy, you should probably go flat rate. That's my guess. If you can, right? If it's too heavy for priority, then you go FedEx Ground or you go UPS. Now, I did want to share something like that about that. Do you ever just pick UPS as your option on eBay?
Yep. It's an
Okay.
option on most of my items.
All right. So, have you ever tried to do non-UPS after you did that?
What do you mean?
Like, you put UPS as the way it's going to ship, and then you're like, "Huh? I wonder if I could sell it. I wonder if I could ship it for less on FedEx." Have you tried to switch over?
I haven't really looked over at FedEx,
Okay, you can't.
Once you
Once you pick UPS, you can't.
Hmm.
I don't know why. It's just the way eBay has it set up. So I've had this experience lately where I've done UPS, and then I'm like, I wonder if it's cheaper on FedEx. Can't do it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, you can't even do it for post office either. Once you click UPS, you can't print up a USPS
Yeah, you can
label.
only do UPS.
Yep.
Now, here's Orlando's hack on that, and you probably know this. Okay, some of you that are experienced know this, but if you don't, here's what I do. What I do is I never pick UPS anymore. I pick either FedEx or post office. But there's a hack around that. You can get shipping from PayPal with the discount on UPS. Right? So the way you do that, so let me you go on your computer, right? And I want to make sure I got this right when I show you guys. Again, we go to our friend Google, and if you go, you go UPS, PayPal, shipping, right? It should take you to a link. And now I don't know, it didn't take you to if you go just sorry. Are we gonna edit this? This is not going well. All right, so because I already have it like bookmarked, so I can't remember. Okay, if you go to the PayPal Shipping Center, if you go to PayPal Shipping Center, you can log in, and then after you log in, you can actually get shipping labels from PayPal, directly from PayPal. And what happens is you can actually use this on non-eBay stuff. Like if you have like, say Mike's in Florida and he wants to send me a birthday present, he can do this through PayPal. Just letting you know. So, you're out there sometime in July, like I'm here for you. You can ship. So
What are you turning 30?
I don't, I wish. Be 40. 40. It's funny. We had a conversation last week and I don't know how it came up. And Mike said he's turning 30. And I'm like, what? I'm a decade older than you. A decade.
Yeah, they say you're supposed to have friends that are like, older than you, and then friends that are your age, and then friends that are younger. That way, like you have like constant flow of knowledge moving in every direction. And you are that wise mentor in my life that guides me and directs me.
Anyway, so you go to the PayPal shipping center, and then eventually you'll go to a shipping page. So for whatever reason right now, right, it's not, the internet's not working with me, but it'll take you there. And then what you can do is when you go there, you can choose UPS or USPS. Right? So, and it'll give you the discount too.
Wow.
So this last week I had something where it was going to cost too much for me to do it through UPS. I don't know why. It just ended up costing more. So I'm like, that's interesting. I'm not a fan of that. So what I ended up doing is I got out of there. I went to the PayPal shipping center. And what happened when I went to the PayPal shipping center is I put in, I logged in, I put in my info, and I checked the UPS shipping. And sure enough, it was cheaper. And I can't explain it, but that's what happened. So that's just one hack. So right now it'll just tell you ship to address. Just make sure you copy paste the address from your eBay, what's sold, and you put it over and you put your info, and then it'll give you that option. So just something to think about. I know it's kind of complicated. Just it's one of those things where a lot of the info we give you, you're just gonna have to work through. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do you get what you're supposed to do?
Yep. I get it.
Can you explain it to me? I
Yeah,
feel like
go,
we're in
go
class.
To, go to PayPal. Go to PayPal and ship through PayPal.
There you go. Okay, that's it. I just don't. So again,
it's not that complicated.
I know,
Rolando.
but you know what? I feel like I butchered the explanation. So
our listeners are very.
Oh no, we have
very capable individuals.
We have brilliant. I'm telling you, we got some of the best listeners out there. We really do. And I just get concerned that I just made it worse by saying more. So I'm gonna be quiet now.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So that's a hack. Always choose FedEx or post office. So you always have the option to go to the PayPal shipping if you want to do UPS, because if you do UPS on eBay, you won't have the option of switching to FedEx or post office.
Man, I've got hundreds of items I need to go through and change.
Okay. I'm just saying, just because you never know. You never know. And if I'm wrong, let us know in the comments below. We'll tag a post saying, this is why we're wrong.
Yeah.
So
sometimes
things
Orlando's
like that
wrong.
A lot of the time, Orlando is wrong. All right, let's talk about losing money. Okay, we already talked about how do you prevent losing money, right? You talked about doing calculated shipping.
Yep.
Make sure you weigh everything. Common sense. But right, you get those moments, you have a huge haul, you take the pictures and you're like, I don't want to go weigh it. You got to weigh it.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to do, especially when you're first starting. Like I've talked about one of the earlier podcasts with the turntable that I tried to ship, and it was going to cost more to ship the item than I sold the item for.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. That's brutal. And so yeah, you got to put in the work ahead of time. And I think you've got to be, if you're new, because we got to remember, some of the listeners are just starting. Don't be intimidated by shipping. But you got to try, you got to research, you got to put the right dimensions in, maybe do calculated shipping for a little while until you're used to how much items cost to ship. And then you could start moving towards, like, okay, maybe I can do flat rate of I can kind of guesstimate box sizes and stuff like that. But yeah, you've got to know ahead of time, spend that time before so you're not losing money later.
Agreed. Because it's a big deal, because I've had so many times where I got to give you an example. So an example is with I had this Department 56 item and I swore it was gonna fit. I eyed it up. I'm like 16 by 12 by 8, perfect. Then it sold. It was like 18 by 18 by 14, and I lost $25. Right? You don't want to lose that money. That's just a bad call. All right, so. What about losing? What if you lose an item? What if you ship something and it doesn't show up? Have you had that happen yet?
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times.
How do you deal with it?
Part of it depends on the customer, right? Part of it depends on how aggressive they're going to be and getting involved with
You
eBay.
just ignore them if they're not aggressive?
No, you still take care of it. But I mean, there's some times where it's like, okay, now I've got to get eBay involved and it's a bigger issue. But I tend to contact the company, right? Like a lot of times they end up reaching out to UPS or USPS first and figuring out like, where's my package?
Yeah.
And they let me know that information. We've several times have been told by the customer, like UPS says that you need to be the one to contact them with the information. So we'll contact, and we get cases opened up. We had one recently where the item showed delivered. UPS's initial response was, no, we've delivered this. There's evidence that it was delivered to the house. And then we pressed it and we said, okay, they don't have it. We need to can you send us, basically something saying that. And they ended up saying, we're going to open a case and look into this. And then they responded back like a week later and said, there's insufficient evidence that we delivered this item. We are going to refund the price of the item.
Really?
Yeah, it worked out.
Okay.
And so they issued us the refund, and then we just refunded the customer.
Okay, I handle it totally different.
What do you do?
So if somebody says an item, so everything's done through eBay, right? Or through Amazon,
right?
Whatever. Okay. So tracking should always be uploaded.
Yep.
Right. And I know people still don't, because I get buyers all the time that will go like, make sure to upload tracking. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's like a weird.
But I guess it's still a reality that people don't do that.
Man, I scan that thing as soon as I print it out. Boom.
But as soon as it says delivered, it's not your responsibility anymore. Now, let's say a buyer contacts you and says, "Hey, I didn't get the item." What I do is I let the buyer know, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Tracking on my end shows as delivered. I would definitely contact your local post office." And that's it. I just leave it at that. And then if they say they never received it, I say, "I'm so sorry that happened. Unfortunately, there's only so much I can do on my end. It probably would benefit you to contact the post office or contact eBay." And I leave it at that. If it's a situation where an item truly is lost, like the tracking doesn't show that, like I've had it where one time one boot showed up, right? I don't know where the other boot went. Only one of them showed up.
Like a sock in a dryer. Just
Yeah, just like that. So it showed up and only one side showed up. So I asked him, "Please send me pictures. Please keep all the packaging with you. I apologize that, obviously one didn't show up, and I'll refund you the money, and then I'll contact the post office." You can make a claim online. It's really easy. You just go to USPS. There's a link somewhere about making a claim. You send them the
So
pictures.
you offered a refund right away without dealing with post office first?
They had to send me the pictures. Yeah, because in that case, the story was so unreal that it had to be real. Do you get what I'm saying? In that case, I'm just giving you a scenario.
But is it still your fault? Like the same thing as if it's delivered. If it's delivered and only half of the item made it, that's still not your fault. That's still the post office's fault.
Well,
So
okay.
what's the difference there that makes you feel like you should address
If a
one and
person-
not the other?
That's a great question. It's a great question. I think dollar amount. I think the fact that it was like a $40 pair of boots, I
Okay.
wasn't as concerned.
Gotcha.
If it was like a $200 item, then I probably would have handled it differently.
Gotcha.
Do you get what I'm saying? Because I'm willing to let things escalate if it costs more. If it costs a little, hey, I rather, $40, happy customer. I deal with it. I know I have insurance on it. So for example, I sent an item out. I'll share this as a hustle of the week that was several $100s. I put insurance on it. If that item doesn't make it and the tracking shows it made it, then it's out of my hands. But let's say it makes it and like it's torn or something crazy happened to it, then obviously I'm going to go, "Hey, this is the way I shipped it. Please keep your packaging. Please take pictures. Please contact the post office. I'll contact the post office and we'll see where the post office wants to go with that." Most of the time, the post office is pretty good about getting back to you and letting you know. You know what I mean?
Do you ever do pictures or video of expensive items that you ship as you're packaging it and sending it out? Like this is the condition that it is in as I'm packaging it.
I've never done that on an expensive item. I've done it on multiple items just to show that I packed everything in that I said I was going to ship out. Right. But it's a great question. So,
because I had one item I sent and it was a broken item that was sold for parts only, right? It was parts only, parts and repair. And I bubble wrapped it, not with the little bubble wrap, but the big bubble wrap multiple times and used paper all the way around it. So basically it wasn't in a box floating, but it was basically floating inside a box. Like it was solid. The person got it and complained about the wrapping and they said that it wasn't sufficient. I know for a fact. And then I asked them to send pictures and they couldn't really send good pictures.
Yeah,
but they complained.
Let me stop you for a little bit. Before you do anything, if there's ever a claim that something is broken or is messed up, ask for pictures. Right? Because half the time, in my experience, you don't ever hear from them again. You've had that, right?
Oh yeah, I've had several of those. And that makes you wonder, is it laziness on their part or are they scamming?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So always ask for pictures. Don't be so quick. Like for instance, those boots, I needed pictures and there's something.
But anybody could take one boot out and take a picture.
You should have seen the box. The box was like mauled. Like what I think happened is one of the conveyor belts like just ripped it apart and like the boot like flew out. Like it was just so unreal that it was real. That's what I'm saying. That's why I had no problem. If it was, let's say it was a Harley Davidson jacket and they're like one sleeve is missing or the sleeve, you know what I mean? Then that's a little obnoxious. But this looked I don't know. A sleeve missing on a jacket, that's probably too unreal to be real. Okay, anyways, bad example. All right, going back to what you're saying. So you're talking about pictures, right? And that half the time they don't get back to you.
Yeah. And so, just asking for pictures. It's important. Yeah, they don't get back to you a lot of the times. But I've done that. I've sent items out like that. I've
The parts, the item with that was not working that you bubble wrapped with thick bubble
oh
wrap.
yeah, gosh, and I was so worried that I was going to get a negative review because I got so many messages from this guy that were extremely rude. Every time I was like, "We're so sorry. Like when we shipped it, like it was in like good condition and it was packaged well. Could you please send us pictures of like the packaging of how it arrived?"
Yeah.
Um, and the response was they sent a picture of the outside of the box, which was fine. And the response was like, "I know this item is just for parts, but you need to respect the items that you're sending," and both. And I'm like, "Wow,
Wow.
this is intense."
Respect the items.
And so I ended up getting positive feedback from the guy, and it said like, "Item arrived as described. Could have used more paper."
Really?
That was like the claim they made. But I was like, "Man." I thought for sure we were gonna get negative review on that one. But yeah, so there's been a few times where I'm like, would it be worth it just to take a picture of how I'm sending, especially expensive items? This wasn't that expensive, but expensive items where it's like, if they complain, especially because you never know, you want to expect the best out of people, but sometimes, there's got to be people out there who get something and they have a broken one and they kind of want the free
No, I agree.
switch.
My advice is always expect the best. Always when you communicate. I mean, I shared this on Instagram last week. I had somebody message me and say, I'll read this to you. "I must tell you, that shirt you sold me is very horrible, washed off and bad looking. You could do better though. The picture's better than reality." And I'm like, what? Okay. So what? I mean, I could have just ignored that, right? I should have ignored it. I should have. So I'm a big fan of, like, unless they're asking for a return or they have a specific question, like, don't respond, And so I
Aren't
just,
you worried if you don't respond, you're going to get negative feedback?
no, because again, if they want to return, right? Then if they're just commenting, like, so I did. So I'll show you what I said. I said, "Are you sure we're talking about the same shirt?" I said it
That's
in
a little passive aggressive.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that is.
No, it was not. It was just I'm
Look,
just
that could be. See, you
no.
said it like this. Are you sure we're talking about the same shirt?
Okay.
It can be read as, "Are you sure we're talking about the same
No,
shirt?"
it was. Are you sure we're talking about the same shirt? Okay. Are you sure we're talking
Inflection,
about the
man.
same shirt? Okay. So
Tone doesn't come across
all
on
right, okay.
messages.
But the reason I did that, because I've had people in the past like light me up and they're like, "Oh, sorry, it was the wrong item. It was somebody else," right? So then after that, I said, "The pictures are unaltered and description accurate. You are more than welcome to return for a full refund. My sincerest apologies that the shirt did not meet your expectations." And then I went silent. I've never heard a peep from this person.
And some people just want to complain.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So, okay, let's rewind what Orlando said. Offer them the return and then go silent. Offer the return and then go silent. That's what I meant.
It's good stuff.
Now,
Yeah, I've got like several items out that I've offered returns and people they never follow through.
Yeah.
I had a pair of ski boots that the person asked for a return and I was like, "All right, send them our way." Nothing.
okay, but there's something to be said. So I get a lot of DMs about people that do not offer returns.
I don't offer returns. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't offer returns, and I know I should. You've mentioned it.
But I'm gonna even go more into why you should.
Okay. I believe it. I think you're probably right. But I don't offer returns on my policy so that I'm not stuck having to do returns.
Okay.
However, I just had somebody. I sold a new pair of Keen sandals, and the person sent a message to me and said, "These didn't fit. I want a refund." Right? They didn't fit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you got to know your shoe size. Like, you're buying
I
shoes
hear you.
online. Like, they're exactly what. And so I said, "I'm sorry they didn't fit. We'll refund the price if you cover shipping." Right? They responded back, "Thank you so much. Great seller." Right? So now we're heroes.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get that.
And we put in there, we do not accept refunds or returns. However, we will refund this for you. Right? Like, you get that whole, like, we don't do this normally, but I'm going to do it for you.
Okay.
So whenever anybody asks for a refund, we typically do it. We
So
just
you
don't offer
refunds. You just don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't click it on the thing because I'm afraid that more people will buy as like a, if I don't like it, I'll send it back.
Okay, but this is what I'll say. So I don't know. I've seen some crazy stats out there. My experience on my own and from other resellers, that usually return rates, and if you go on eBay, you go to seller performance, you can look at your returns, you can look at what everybody else is doing. Generally, it's about 3%. Right? I've seen some, maybe on Amazon it's higher. On Amazon, for me, it's about, I want to say like closer to 10%, maybe
Ooh.
more. Okay. At the height of Q4. Okay. So if you offer free returns, okay, it seems that eBay is more likely to side with you because eBay has put a bunch of things in place. So, for example, if you sell a brand new item, okay, and the person opens it and they return it to you, right, you are able to make the choice that you're only going to refund that person a certain percentage. If you don't offer free returns, you don't have that option to do that because you can't do returns. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the things aren't set in place for you to do returns.
Yeah, but I just do it through eBay and PayPal, and it still works out.
I get that, but what I'm telling you is that, and let me explain this. So eBay has systems in place that lean towards you making you do returns. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they wouldn't build that infrastructure unless they wanted you to offer free returns. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I've also noticed. So I've had people do these item not as described, right? And so what's happened with the item is not as described, the person will say item not as described, and they're upset, and I'll call eBay, and eBay is kind of just like, well, okay, did you offer them return? And I'm like, yeah, I offered them return. They're like, okay, well, if they choose not to, you're okay. And I've even had somebody say, if I've even asked them, like, well, what if I get a negative feedback? I mean, the item was exactly as it's in the pictures, as I described it, and the person still claims it's there to go, don't worry about it. We'll just remove the feedback. I mean, I've had eBay reps tell
So
me
you're
that.
saying they won't do that if I don't have in my policies free returns?
I'm saying they may not do that. They may not do that because what I've always said and what eBay will tell you is they want you to do everything. This is eBay's way of doing things now. If I'm wrong, if there's an eBay rep listening, let us know in the comments below. Is that eBay wants you to do everything possible to work things out between you and the buyer. They never want to step in, right? They want that. That's where they want things to take place. So that's why I say that, because I can tell you again and again, I've had these issues with people saying item not described or people are unhappy. But the moment that the eBay rep saw that I offered free returns after 30 days and the person didn't want to return it, they're like, well, you offered the return. They obviously weren't that bothered by it. So we're not, we're not too concerned about it. You're good. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So I can't tell you it's 100%, but I really do feel, and if I'm wrong, if there is an eBay policy, hey, please copy paste it in the comments below. Either way, I'd love to hear it because I remember this happening to other sellers. I know it's happened to me, and I've talked to reps. And if you go out of your way, you offer the return, you apologize. You try
But
to
could
make
all
it
those
right.
things be done in the message and not on like your policy? Because I offer, if somebody's upset about an item and I say I'll return it, I'll refund it. Like I sold a coat, like a dress coat, a trench coat type coat, and the tag said 40R, and so that's what I listed and sold it as,
Yeah.
and it ended up being quite a bit bigger than that. Like the tag in the coat was wrong. So I'm like,
Okay.
man, that's crazy. That's weird. Like clearly I didn't do that on purpose, but I don't want you to have too big of a coat. So send it back to me. So in that case, I accepted in messages like, okay, go ahead and return it. I'll pay for shipping. Send it back my way. Um, if they left a negative review, I still offered a return. It just wasn't part of my policy. Like I could say like in my comments, I said, sure, send it back. I'll cover shipping. I'm so sorry about this. So if they still get item not as described, I feel like eBay would still side with me in the sense of,
I think you may be right. I can't disagree with you on that one.
so the benefit though is it probably looks better to seller or to customers if that's in your policy, the free returns.
Correct. And I think it looks better to eBay because it comes across as you being more customer centric, more customer friendly. And I know right now, I think it's really hard for all of us to adjust because that's just the way things are, right? You can return for whatever reason and you have to be willing to accept the return. Right. And that's one of the things that you really struggled with in the beginning. You still, I think it's tough for you. It's tough for me sometimes because I'll sell a very expensive item. And if it's a $200 item, I get a return or 400 or 500, that hurts.
Well, it really hurts. It doesn't hurt so much that I if I can resell this item, where it hurts is the shipping, right?
Yeah.
Because I paid to ship it to you. I mean, technically they paid whatever, but you're paying it back.
Yeah.
so you paid the money and then you're not getting that money back, and then you have to pay for it to be shipped back to you. That's shipping two ways. So $20 there, $20 back on a $40 item, right? You
Yeah.
lost. Now the best you can hope for selling this item is maybe I'll break even.
I agree. Now, there are some people that have chosen to add like a handling charge, right? Like $1 per item in throughout their whole store. So whenever they have those moments that they're going to lose money on returns, they're okay because they already made that money.
But wouldn't that be the same as just charging an extra $1 per item?
Yeah. No, you're right. Except with the handling charge, no matter what, if you accept that software, it doesn't matter. Right? Because it's always going to be a constant. It's always going to be there. To me, it doesn't. I'm not.
So you can't offer free shipping with handling, can you? Like you have a handling charge, but you offer free shipping?
You know what? I am stumped. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can.
Because it's going to say $30 free shipping, $2.99 handling. What?
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. You know what? We don't have all the answers. That's what I have not thought about. Wow, that was a good question. Okay. Hey, another thing is to avoid problems, is ship on time. I know this is common sense, but two things. Number one, make sure that it's very important that you get things scanned at the post office. Right? So sometimes I'll just print the label right away. I'll pack it, but you got to make sure it gets scanned, especially when it has to be sent out by, let's say you have 1 day handling and it's the next day. You want to make sure it gets scanned because sometimes you might go to the post office and you'll drop it off in the box and it may not get picked up. Make sure you pay attention to your pickup times.
So you don't leave boxes because I'll walk into the post office and then just leave the boxes where people leave boxes and walk out. I don't wait for someone.
I'll do it if it's earlier in the day.
Okay.
But I know that the post office that we both love, they close at 5, but their last pickup time is at 4:45. And then sometimes I've had it where I've dropped stuff off at let's say 4:40, and I'll check hours later the tracking. And
now one thing I noticed is eBay with it shipping late, as it were, as long as it gets to the customer and the customer doesn't claim that it arrived late, it doesn't count against you as late arrival, right?
Okay. Agreed. Now, I will say one thing. I ship out in the morning and afternoon. And so that's something that if you want to, I find that it triggers the algorithm more. So every morning I'll pack my stuff and I'll actually get it all scanned because I already want it showing that it's already on its way to get myself higher in the search. I can't say there's any proof I have about that except experience.
Do it for the algorithm. That's our new saying.
That's what we have shirts and mugs.
Do it for the algorithm.
Do it for the algorithm. So, all right. And I think we covered plenty about making money on shipping, Yeah,
I think so. That's good stuff. If you didn't listen to our last shipping episode, this one was a lot of information, but our last episode had a lot more on specific items, right? So what were the resources we used?
The boxes we used, the tape, the weight scales, all that.
But we still have the link down in our description of the YouTube and on the podcast to whatever we're using on Amazon, eBay, all of those things. So if you would like to kind of see what it is we use for shipping, whether it's labels, printers, tape, all of that stuff, check out that link. And if you've got suggestions of things that we might be able to add there, let us know and we'll give it a try and maybe add that because we want to make an easy place for people to find the best shipping supplies for you.
Agreed. And hey, we know that this episode could be controversial because, we may have been wrong on some things. We may have had a different perspective on some things. And so if you ever want to, let us know in the comments below. We're always willing to listen. We're all learning together. Like Mike and I have always said, the more we do this, the less we know.
That's right.
So with that, be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling.
Peace.